Okay, these are some of my memories about Rohini. So I will have time to come back to the first picture that I will give you, the bigger picture of the first picture that I'm showing, and the other one is very nice for me, showing her contribution to les Elesh. And you'll have to excuse me that I'm extremely moved, and I hope to make it until the end. It's not moving. Ah, sorry. Okay, what is going to be very easy is that I will not review the papers and the physics in the papers and the science, which we have done a lot, because this was already covered or will be covered. For example, Geneviève talked about Susie Higgs, dark matter, and that invisible Higgs. Toppen Higgs polarization with Kirtiman, he will probably cover tomorrow. Swagata already talked about the LLPs. And there was something that is covered indirectly because I thought she was in that paper, but she wasn't, but it was inspired by her, that I worked with Vitesh because we exchanged students and postdocs, so this also contributed. And spin analysis, azimuthal asymmetries, and some person who is missing here, who I also miss dearly, he couldn't come, is Sorab Rindani. And something that you would probably not see, but we had a student from Morocco who we helped quite a lot, and we made him work on top, and I insisted that he gets involved with NLO. And so if you look at the papers that he has written, you will see the things that he has given to us. Okay, my first part of the talk, I'm going to call it the Manuel-Dries connection, because we can't remember, Geneviève and I, when we met Rohini for the very first time. We did meet her, most probably, for sure, but we didn't do jokes like we did with Manuel at Waikolora. And for sure I met her again. I was in London and I came, though I wasn't registered for the conference, the Sheffield conference on Photon 85, and we went with dinner with Manuel. He ate some of the Indian food and he became redder than he is here. And the connection was also to go and talk to Rohini because Patrick Orange already had connection with her through the photon physics and already trying to see whether we can build up a collaboration. And in 1998, for sure, we met. She had invited me for Web, so now I know the number, Web 5. Manuel was also there. And my memories of all the things about supersymmetry and basically supersymmetry dark matter. I think Manuel talked about dark matter. And there was a connection with Varun Sani that I will tell you about. And that was the year of Dil to Pagil Hai. So where Sridhar, who actually came, took the whole conference probably to the film. And I think it was Rohini who suggested that I go with Rajiv Gavai to a museum, some kind of craft museum, which I loved very much. And we exchanged a lot of things about music, which was very nice with Rajiv, who I also miss not being here. Anyway, what probably not many people know is that micro-omegas, as I think Geneviève tried to mention through the science thing that she has given, it's almost thanks to Manuel that we have built up micro-omegas. Manuel, if you remember, at some point I have asked you if we could have the code that you had. And you said it's such a mess and it doesn't work. And I said, my devil, it's just cross-section convoluted with some, we can do that. And that's how it started, okay? Now, Geneviève has shown this paper, and I don't know whether you know all the name of the paper. Probably you do, at least you know 3 of them. Sylvie Rosier was our experimentalist friend who helped us with the analysis in that paper. And there is also Fiorenza Donato, who is a dark matter woman who's become a full professor now in Torino with a large group and stuff. And I wanted to show that from very long time, Rohini liked the company of women so that more women will be involved in physics. And I think she also preferred Marathi women, you can see in this. And also non-Bong Indians also. So, and she was surrounded. So these are some of the, however, what Rohini has, now I'm not sure whether it was Rohini or Sylvie, so you, and the other thing is, you will see, Boudjema. One of them turns to me after we have written the paper and she said, oh, Fawzi, your dream has been fulfilled. 1 man, 4 women. So this is the paper. Okay. Anyway, so this is what I wanted to tell you. Now, I wanted to see how this connection with Annecy, with France, has come on. So I know, but I wanted to look for the name of this great woman who helped us build this thing. So for me, she is the Rohini Godbole of France, but I couldn't remember her first name exactly, and I want to be sure to make it. So what I did, I looked in French, and I wrote this, physicienne, which is physicist woman, Française, French, and. So I thought Google would be bright enough to bring up the answer. And the answer, I don't know whether you can see it, Rohini Godbole name come out. So, of course, it's wrong. It did give me as the third answer the name of the woman I was looking for. I was pretty sure, but I wasn't sure about the first name. She was called Michel Leduc. So Michel Leduc was the president of the science, the French Science Foundation for quite some years. She was also got this prize, or the French equivalent of what Rohini got from the French later. And she was Commander de la Légion d'honneur. And she was, back then in 1996, the CEFIPRA coordinator. And she was going through this project that we were trying to build up. And she asked to meet me in Chambéry, which is a place near to Annecy, which is where the train changes to go from Paris to Les Ouches. Okay. So later when I started talking to her, she turned out to be an endophile. And she was in charge of this thing. So in fact, I did ask her, when I wrote this thing, I wasn't sure whether I was saying the right thing, so I asked ChatGPT what an endophile is. So among a person who enjoys Indian food, movies, but not any movies, Bollywood. So, and she was the director of the Centre de Physique of Les Ouches, who many of you know, if not all of you, from 1993 to 1988, that period. So she found the project extremely interesting. She was not a high energy physicist, and she said, yeah, probably you will get it for pretty sure, and not many people are applying. Back then, Indo-French was not so. That's what she promised. And at the end of the meeting, she said, well, look, I am the head of the Les Ouches, and I have this slot empty in 1998. Do you think you could find some? And I jumped on that because we were looking for something in Europe to build up with Patrick. So that is kind of a snow mass, but in Europe and close to Sun and close to the LSC. And so that's how Les Ouches, which is called LH, as you know, many of you have been, started on. And what it was also this connection with Rohini, what she told me once, is that for her, LH was also, let me get it right, the ladies' hostel is one of the best places when she was a student in IIT Bombay. And she enjoyed this ladies' hostel, which they called the LH. In fact, it's even written on the episode that she had sent me. So Les Ouches, I'm just going to show some pictures that picked up to see the involvement of Rohini. And Rohini always had this smile and this laugh where made everybody work with her, try to work with her. And this is one of the very few photographs that I have where we are the two together, because either it was me taking the pictures or it was her. I mean, as you see on that one on the right, she is taking picture. And this one I picked up because, funnily enough, there are a lot of people in this room. So you can see Rohini smiling at me. There is Geneviève, there is Mono, there is Giacomo, and I think there was someone else I spotted. Anyway, quite a lot of people there on that picture. And then more. And of course, I can confirm that Rohini really liked wine. So this is another way of making it. I wanted to show also this picture because it's also partly thanks to Patrick that this Les Ouches has started also. And then you can see Patrick with Rohini on that picture. And then you can see a more kind of, maybe not somber, but a very serious face of Rohini when she worked. Now I want to stop here because I thought I should tell you this here. The food in Les Houches, especially when it started, was horrendous, okay? And when it started with us, in fact, there was only one vegetarian. That the guy couldn't deal with the cook. And the one vegetarian was Rohini. So we had told the cook, prepare a food, especially the first day, for one person. Okay, so when we arrived on Monday, we had dinner with Rohini. He turns up, he hadn't prepared anything. And so you see what people write about food in those days in Les Houches. Improve the food soon, before the cook has an accident. And then it was signed by almost all participants. Somebody came and crossed the almost. Anyway, the story with Rohini, having no food. So she said, well, I'm very tired. It was a Monday evening. Just make me a salad. Okay? So the salad came after he went on for 15 minutes or so to bring a tomato salad. And he comes back and it's sprinkled like we do in Savoie with ham. You know, those little pieces of chicken. So I said, my goodness, all that thing. And he turns to me and said, but sir, otherwise there is no taste. I said, well, you don't get it. Anyway, so that's my first thing. So this is the way I'm going to get into the Indo-French collaboration. Many of you here in the audience took part in at different stages. That just to show you how Rohini took hold of, conducted discussion and organized stuff. And then you wonder, for Mono it was easy to get on the stage, and I always wondered how Rohini got there. But she's there and conducting the talks. Okay, Indo-French, the French bureaucracy is maybe worse than even the Indian. Okay, so what we wanted to do, what the CNRS had asked me a long time ago before the thing started, is to think about some collaboration with India. And this collaboration came so that I have to, from the CNRS. So the CNRS is this body, the National Science Foundation, which is from the Ministry of Science, and it's divided in 10 institutes. And before the visit of Hollande, Hollande is not the country of Eric, but François Hollande, the minister, this project that we had was brought up. We have to have from the CNRS Physique, one of the 10 institutes in France, something that Hollande can present. That would have covered only the theorist, and Rohini was against it. Rohini, on the other hand, was part of CEFIPRA, which we tried to hide in a way. So we tried to involve also the experimentalists in India. The problem is that the experimentalists in India are CMS, and many of our experimentalists were Atlas, with a small bunch around Paris. So the build-up of this collaboration was really hard, to the point where at some point Rohini said, I don't understand, we should give up. I said, no, the money will come. So there was a lot of hurdles, bureaucracies, and when we were almost there, intellectual property rights, defense and security, and all that thing. Anyway, but it was done. However, before anything was signed and everything, there was some meeting in Delhi where some of the projects were presented, pre-presented in fact. Okay, and the head of the CNRS Physique was in the audience, and Rohini in the audience, in one of the rooms in the audience, because this is divided in different things of science. So she sends a message to this person, and that person writes to me and he tells me, can you confirm Professor Rohini Godbole and Rahul Pandit, who I didn't know, and Rohini Godbole, of course, this is the thing that we were trying to present. And the guy was called Jean-François Pinto. He's no longer the president of the CNRS Physique, but anyway. So Rohini writes to him, and she says, hello, shall we meet, something like that, in the lobby. And so the person, I tried to do the things in sequence, because when I first read it, the last image should come first, and anyway, first come. So the person, and then we are told, women representation, you have to be careful and include more women. The head writes back to Rohini, instead of saying, "Dear Professor Rohini," said, "Dear Sir." And Rohini was kind of, so. Then she tried to present herself and how they could meet in the lobby. So she says, I don't know whether you can read it, "I am a rather short person and of the less common gender in science, Rohini." And then we had a lot of hurdles, at the last minute when the thing was signed, there was something from IIC where they want to change everything at the last minute, and she said, "Okay, we gave up." I said, no, now it's finished. We got the money. Anyway, so this money, we had this money from CNRS, we had money from CEFIPRA. CEFIPRA is the Indo-French thing, and it involved about 100 participants from India and 50 from France, more or less. And we had 4 nodes, because the bureaucracy was so much. So Sudhir was part of the node which we called Malgova Malika. One was called Alfonso, but Rohini was not in that node, and she didn't like it. And there was a node around Calcutta having too many institutes. It was one node, and there was a Langra node, which was Delhi and Allahabad, and this was Biswarup. Okay, so CEFIPRA, we had a very enjoyable and very productive collaboration. A lot of students, a lot of topics. So the page is still running, in fact, and we still send news about many things. And there were many working groups, Higgs and other scalars, dark matter, model building, phenomenology, jetology, QCD, extreme QCD, and an experimental group also as a backup. So when the thing was signed, there was a lot of publicity from the media and stuff, and the one that I like most, we had talked about when we had to present some small explanation note of what we are doing. Although we thought we were very basic, it slipped that we did beyond standard model and that we did Higgs. So I think the time of India, IIC inks pact with French Center for Research beyond God particle. So that's how it was. So this is really the picture that was taken just outside here. And now I'm wondering whether this tree, which is very doubt, is the Golmuhar, which was one of the preferred trees of Rohini. And the other thing I just want to tell you is about this Ordre National du Mérite, which came out of the blue, as Rohini was saying. And then she wrote to us, and I gave you the extract from the message that was sent by the ambassador or the scientific representative of the embassy in Delhi. And in typical French thing, France has decided to award you the highest distinction. And then for what? Made Indian and French physician with this working closely together. You didn't notice that, Geneviève? And then when she sent us this, the G, Geneviève and Fawzi, on Monday, blah, 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 and I see at G. I actually spoke a few sentences in French in my acceptance speech. When I was preparing this, I was going to tell you, I don't know what she said because we don't have the audio thing. And I was going to tell you that she would have got all the wrong accent because Geneviève is not really French. She is a soon-to-be American. Anyway, she's Canadian. But then I understood. I said, you were trying to improve Canada of Rohini. This is what it was. So these are some of the pictures you have seen from Rohini when she got the Ordre National du Mérite. And the other thing that is very close to me is her love of plants and flowers and garden. I'll try to be very quick here, because that had come at that period where all this thing was blooming and we were sharing so many things. And one thing that I will miss is that she had promised that one day we will do and see Kurg. And I have read this thing to her, and this was, in fact, I had sent it to her when she had her eye operation. She wrote to me and she says, you see, you can see the blue so much better. And I told her, you can also see the green so much better. And maybe we can go and see the Kurg one day. One among the project. And this is from a book by Arka Narayan, who I like also very much. And he's a local. I don't want to spend much time on this. Food and Rohini second. Ilya is Ilya Ginsburg, DP was DP Roy, and the shrimps. In 1099, before coming, she was in with Zerestata. And she writes to me from there, saying, I ate some shrimps and they were very nice. I said, my God, really? So maybe I misunderstood, but this is what stayed. My wife is in the audience, she can tell you. So we decided we will have some shrimps as an entree, as a starter, and then we'll make plenty of veg. And since there was Ilya Ginsburg, a Russian, where a piece of meat had to be there, we'll make something. And DP was kind of open about anything here. It is not vegetarian. So the food comes, and Rohini starts to make, I don't know, excuses or something. And it took some time. And Ilya doesn't get to the food yet, and he can see in the kitchen that there is some meat there. So at some point he gets all nervous. So he stood up. He's a big, fat man, a real Russian. And I like Ilya very much. He said, Rohini, please explain, what level of animal do you eat? So this has stayed, so that's the story that we tell everybody. So I wanted to show you also, Patrick, this is in 2002, where we went to his summer house and started cooking and enjoying. So Rohini was using this hing, which I like in food, but I don't like to smell it at all. Asafatida for people who know. And I've talked to Rahul, was also part of this Indo-French, the first one that we had. He only swear, from what I remember, Panchpuram in everything, and then you'll eat everything. So we had this thing about, anyway. And the other thing which is close to my heart, although this is my daughter who is in the hand of, the arm of Rahul Basu, she was hardly a year then. And we cooked and we enjoyed. And Rohini liked coming home, not only because, I don't know, many people, probably all of you know that my wife is also called Rohini. And Rohini also liked it when she came for a long time, that she would have real food also, as she called it. And the very sad thing is that last time she came, we have this house in the south, and this love of plants and flowers that we were exchanging. We didn't go that Sunday because my daughter had turned 18. This is the second daughter. And she insisted that she would vote. This is the day when Macron decided to dissolve parliament because of the elections. And so for that reason, we didn't go. And we thought we will go next time, which would not happen. But then we had brought some curry pata, and last time I just couldn't speak, for the first thing that, and so I gave it to one of my Indian students to just speak what I have written, and I have written curry pata and some of the things that, it was very recent in a way. He read the thing, he's somebody from the south, and he turned pata into pasta. He destroyed it. So, and this was for me the last supper for us, the last supper in Annecy. 2 days ago, we went to one of her best restaurants here, which is a vegan restaurant. It was very good. And we all ordered some wine. And I ordered a red wine, and he ordered a white one. So he came to me and he said, this is eggless wine. I said, oh, maybe I didn't understand. So we made him repeat eggless. So of course there are organic wines, which we also have in front. But he insisted it was eggless, like the burrata. So anyway, it wasn't eggless, it was Austrian. So somebody said, oh, maybe he wanted to say Inglesi or something like that. So no, he did say eggless, like the burrata. So things about food, we have so many that if this thing gets, put on the web, people can read, because Xeres also sent me a lot of things which are later about. He talks about Marek, who some of you know, and there was one thing that I wanted to. Yeah, there was an instance where they were in Santa Barbara and they were really, really hungry, and the only place that they found that was open late at night was this a food chicken place, as Xeres says. So Xeres had no problem, and he thought that she would order some fries, which they didn't have. So she ordered half a chicken. And the cook, being a Daisy, knew exactly what she wanted. So he cut the bun in half and put a lot of salad. And it was okay. Okay, I think here I will... Rohini had this love for kids, who she unfortunately didn't have. And she was following the progress of our daughter, who's becoming, she's a PhD now in physics in London. And they discussed a lot. And that older daughter missed her for the last time. However, my daughter was in this conference or a meeting in Mumbai by chance, and then she knew, of course, all about Rohini. I mean, she was following her for a long time, and she was exchanging with her and stuff. And this is a picture taken by Rohini for the first time. Because at some point there was maybe a talk of Noor giving a presentation to, I can't remember who was organizing something about women in science. Said, for the first time you met Rohini, she would have shown this picture. What else did I want to say? About music, I'm not so sure, because I think maybe I imposed some of my things on her, but many of the people who came, I did exchange or try to impose what I liked or what I disliked. So for example, Shanku can tell you a lot of things. But what I know also, that lately she came to enjoy Gregorian songs. We talked a lot about music, but what I'm writing here is, I remember there is something that I liked, which is Zakir Hussain, the son, that is, and Hari Prasad Chaurasia, and not the son. I wanted to make this connection with it. There was this great concert in Pune that I'm not sure whether she appreciated. I know that Ashok Amankar was there, but a lot of things. And this is sorry, I knew I couldn't make it. I mean, since yesterday I've been rehearsing on only this picture, and I discovered the details only yesterday, so I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, now it's much better. Now it's much better. Ah. So what do you mean mostly? What level of yeah. No, but even the French was very bad. So
they brought something with shells, and I just did not understand what it is. So I just asked them to give me something vegetarian. They took some 15-20 minutes, and then on a big plate they brought one big tomato. That was my dinner.
So maybe that's Rohini's tomato, yeah. Now it has changed. Now it has changed. Yeah, yeah.